Welcome, everyone, to another wonderful podcast and a wonderful day with another beautiful lady. And as always, I do not have a clue what she does, her backstory, or anything else. Yes, she was shocked when I told her, but we'll see how it goes. We'll just go with the flow. Her name is Andy Paige. Welcome, Andy Paige.
Thank you. I'm happy to be with you. Where are you right now?
I'm from London. I'm in London right now. I usually travel, but at this particular day, I'm within London. So, and it's dark here because it's quite late. So,
It is quite late. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. So, welcome, Andy. So, what I'm going to say, like I say to everybody, what do you do within your business to help people be successful? And then we'll go with the flow.
Okay. So what do I do in my business to help people be successful? Well, I have several businesses. So I have invented a product. So it's patented, and I have a whole team that's in charge of that. I also have a service-based business where I conduct services for others. But probably I would say the one thing that I do that helps people the most is being consistent. Because when you are consistent, then that builds trust, and people understand that there's a certain expectation that they be consistent. So I definitely believe the one thing that I probably do that encourages people that I work with is they know that they can depend on me and that I am consistent.
Okay, that's great. So let's just work on that a bit further. So you help them to be consistent within their business, within their lives, or a bit of both?
Well, I think a little bit of both. I mean, consistency, effort, all of that, I think is a really important part of building trust. And when you're trying to build a business, the intangible that you can't put value on is building trust with the customer. And many times that takes several touch points, whether it's through advertising. You want your website to be consistent. You want to be known as dependable, trustworthy, and the best way to do that is through consistency. So I think that applies not only to business. I think it applies to life as well. But yeah, it's an offshoot of trust.
No, of course. Life is full of trust, and it's the same thing in business. Is the more you want to charge someone, the more trust you've got to build. So, and it is full of that. So people tend to focus on money. Not good at all. If you want to charge or give more value, then obviously you have to build more in the bank of trust, if that makes sense.
Of course, without a doubt. Yeah. So I would agree with that.
Okay, so let's speak about you, because I want to understand where this consistency mindset comes from, because you're a stagger for it. You're totally focused on consistency. So I know you've got, is it ADHD that you have, or is that true? You have ADHD?
I am dyslexic. I struggle with dyslexia my whole life. I have three wonderful bonus daughters. One that's extremely dyslexic to the point that she actually got support through the state all through school. I am 54. So when I was in school, they didn't really understand dyslexia. And I came to know that my grandfather also had horrible dyslexia. He was a brilliant man and actually worked in the White House with 2 administrations, but he never read a book. He could focus for an article. He could get through, periodicals, but he was someone who could not consume a book because of his dyslexia. And so he put me at ease and taught me, as a young girl, how to handle it. But now there are much more resources to help people, like my girl, my sweet bonus child.
Number one, I love the way you make reference to your children as bonus children. That's most wonderful. I've never heard them referenced as bonus, which they are. I totally agree with you. And number two, I want to know about, is it your father that you made reference to and how he couldn't consume a book, which I'm very similar, by the way. So now I'm very curious, what techniques, processes, tools did he give you to navigate that situation, that problem that you had when you was younger? Because I would like to know a bit of the secret there.
He basically explained that I wasn't alone, which was really hard because I'm a twin, and my twin sister is extremely bright and was always an A+ student with ease. And so my struggle to, she could read a book in a weekend, and if I was assigned 50 or 60 pages a night to read, for me that I read on average 10 pages an hour. Wow. So that was overwhelming to think about. It was just overwhelming to think about. So in many ways, my twin sister helped me because we went to the same small school. So she often would, read something and tell me what happened or give me cliff notes. And then my grandfather, who had dyslexia, would do the same thing. He would tell me that many times, whatever I was assigned to read, that there were either cliff notes or that there were other articles or there were other ways for me to gather the information than having to read every single page. And so that was kind of his instruction. So I'm lucky that I had a twin sister to help me, and that we went to the same school and took the same classes. And I'm also lucky that my grandfather basically told me that I wouldn't be cheating if I didn't read every single word.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's amazing. It just amazes me how people can read so fast. Number one, I have the similar situation with you. I mean, 10 pages, I think you're doing amazing because I don't even think I can read 10 pages in an hour. So kudos to you, first of all. So I know exactly what you're going through. It's so difficult. There's no two ways about it. Now, what's unusual in your situation is that you was a twin sister. And so as growing up, you could see that you had different gifts, shall I say. So your sister obviously was very good at reading and taking on the information. You didn't. Now, what differences did you see growing up? Is it a situation when you obviously struggled reading, but you were better at navigating life from a point of view of maybe communicating or maybe doing other things? Did you see a difference between you two?
Oh, definitely. She was not as social as I was. And because, I struggled in the area of, academic. I mean, when I say struggled, I was still a B student. So I was never a bad student and I was always bright. But she was a straight A student. So my Bs were, really, they were highlighted. But I, made all the friends. So whatever friends we had and whatever, social events we went to, they were all things that I coordinated and people that, I brought into our circle.
And the reason why I asked that, and I suspected that your communication skills were better, is because I'm very similar. It's a situation I really struggle with the written words. So what we have to do, just like if we break one leg, right? We have to find a way to still navigate life. We still need to somehow go from A to Z. And so we find a way to do that. So we get crutches. We're stronger on the top half of our bodies because we have to use the crutches day in, day out. And people go, how are you so strong on the top half of your body? Because I had to navigate life by using the crutches. And it's the same with us. We have problems in certain ways, but our communication skills and reading people has got to be far better because we don't have the skills of reading. So what I'm going to ask you now, what other things did you notice? So not just the communication, but what other things did you notice that you were very powerful on? And especially from the point of view of your consistency. How did the consistency come into it? And were both you and your twin consistent?
I do think so. We were raised to believe that effort was important, and we were scheduled. But, the other things that I excelled in that, she struggled, I suppose, would be sports. I was very physical. I've always been in great, kind of physical shape. And you should also know I was 5'11" by the time I was 10 years old.
Wow.
I was awkwardly large. So I was encouraged, shall we say, to be involved in a lot of sports. So, and that was something that she didn't really care for. And, but because I knew that I could have an impact there and be seen as something that I was good at and be seen as, something I excelled at and a leader there, I pushed myself with sports and she really didn't.
So you were lucky enough both of you were lucky enough to have the support of each other. You had the support of your father, and while you were struggling with one thing, she helped you with that. And while she was struggling with the other, especially the party girls you end up being,
Yeah.
especially you helped her with the social side of things. So that was great. So moving forward, as you started to leave your teens, how did that evolve? When it comes to compared to both of you, especially you with the issues of your dyslexia compared to your sister?
Well, I ended up dropping out of high school. So I am a high school dropout. I'm really fortunate that, I had an opportunity to move to New York and to start, a career at a very young age.
Uh-huh.
And so I was smart. I got my GED, which in America stands for the Graduate Equivalency Diploma. Right. Yeah. And so I did that, which I scored in the 97th percentile on that test, and was able to get into college right away. But, for many reasons, but especially because I just struggled and I was bored and I was struggling, I just didn't want to be in high school. So when I had the opportunity to move to New York at a really young age, I was happy to do that. So I did drop out of school. And I also thought that, college was going to be much better for me because I could design my courses. I could, choose the things that I was most interested in. And I believed that my interest and my passion for a subject would ultimately dictate the amount of time I was willing to dedicate. And, the struggle would be worth it because I'd be interested in it. So, and I was right. I have a double master's in media studies and broadcast journalism. So once I could kind of plug into the things that I cared most about, then I pushed through those struggles.
And was time an issue when you was going through the young school years? Was that an issue that time wasn't long enough for doing your exams or studying, or time wasn't long enough for anything else, or it was same old?
Well, when I was young, I definitely, once I got out of school, I of course had sports, and then, I might have had 3 hours a night to dedicate to homework. And often, 5 to 6 were really required for me. So, it was definitely a struggle. But again, if I was interested in it, and I knew that this was going to lead me down a career path, then I would do whatever was necessary to make that happen, which is what I found in college.
So did you find out, for me, I find it quite difficult when I was trying to study and do my exams. I needed the extra time because it took me longer to take in the information, to write the information, to process it, etc. Did you have to do any of that?
I didn't have the choice because people really didn't understand dyslexia. Again, I think I graduated from college in 95, and I graduated from my both master's programs in 98. And if I think about the difference in what I went through versus, my 22-year-old daughter, she was given an extra 30 minutes on every exam. Okay. She was given extra time for all of the really important tests like the SAT here in America or the ACT. So there were many more resources and opportunities for her to find success. But those weren't offered to me when I was in school.
Well, I'll tell you what, number one, I'm really glad it's got to the stage where it's accepted that with dyslexia and there's support for that. But it's not necessarily a bad thing that we didn't have the necessary support. Yes, it would have been nice, but it made us more resilient, right?
I think so.
Yeah, because when you don't have the support, you have to, whether you try to hide it, which most of us did, and we had to pretend we knew what we were doing. So we had to find other ways around things, which is where it helps us be leaders, great communicators, because you find a way, no matter what. You don't let anything stop you. And so it's helped us in that. But even so, it's great that there is support now for dyslexia, and that's a great thing. And this is why I suppose that you're so resilient. I can see you're very straight cut. You know exactly what you want, and you get things done. And this is where your consistency comes into it. Make it happen. Is that how you feel, Andy?
It definitely is. I do feel like it held me back in some ways, in that my father really wanted me to be an attorney. And
Okay.
the thought of having to do research and spend my life reading was there's absolutely no way I could have done that. So, the career path that I took it was still communications, but, broadcast journalism allowed me to do my own research, to, just to do things in a different way. So I do think that if I had been a good reader and did not have dyslexia, that ultimately I would have probably been a great attorney and probably a great judge at this point. But you're right. I solved it and it sent me down another path, which is also wonderful.
So you do feel that if you had the choice and the support and everything, that you would have been an attorney and you would have you would have had that passion for being an attorney?
Possibly. I guess it depends on what kind of attorney, but yes, possibly.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, regardless, you put yourself down a path where you can help people.
Yeah.
You're obviously smiling with what you do. And obviously you have that natural skill set so you can help them be focused, be consistent. And that's because you had to go through your, what would my mother say? My father would say trials and tribulations. You have to go through your trials and tribulations for you to be successful. So you went through education, you designed your education when you now went to college, and that worked for you really well. Did you have to navigate anything beyond that was affecting you via your dyslexia? What other swarms of issues you had to deal with?
Yeah. So, later in life, I've developed, a patented product, and, developing a business, writing a business plan, pitching it, working with the government to get patents. I was a one-woman show for several years.
Wow.
And having to slog through the process of that with, again, it's just an overwhelming amount of information and documentation. And that's very daunting. It was very difficult. Again, I did it, but I probably took a year longer than most people, just because the daily grind of having to make sure that every, dot was dotted and T was crossed, or I was dotted. That's another place where my dyslexia kind of reared its head and made things a little hard. I still did it, and I'm quite successful at it, but it rears its head in places like that.
Okay, let's speak about that, because I'm quite inspired to find out what happened there, because I know how overwhelmed I am with certain information. And for you to talk about the amount of information you had to go through, I can't imagine how, number one, you did it. So I want to find out that secret. How did you be consistent in the fact that even though you was ultimately overwhelmed so many times, maybe on a daily basis, maybe on a weekly basis, what kept you going and never give up?
Well, what kept me going, to be perfectly honest, is I developed this particular product. It's called the Girly Go Garter. After I had a dramatic accident. So this is going to be hard to hear, but so I cut off my right foot.
Okay.
And so after I cut off my right foot and realized that I actually may never walk again or be successful at what I thought I was going to be successful at, I was very clear that I needed to do something else. And I had the idea for the Girly Go Garter. And so I pushed through, because I was very afraid that I wasn't going to be able to walk and function and be successful in ways that I had in the past.
That's amazing. So obviously you had something that had to push forward. It had to happen.
Yeah.
Because for you to enrich your life for the future, you didn't want to be disabled in such a negative way. And you obviously were thinking of other people, because by you being in your situation, you met other people that were similar to you. You understood probably how it affected their life for the long term. And you thought, no, let me do something about it. Is that correct? Or?
No, I mean, I really didn't know anyone who had lost their foot. I've never known anyone with that kind of issue. I just am someone who, I don't take failure very easily. I hate the word no. To me, the word no is just the worst. Oh yeah, I do not like to hear no. For me, no means no right now, and I will figure out a way to find a yes. So when I couldn't fathom that I wouldn't be successful at something. So that was just an overwhelming wash that came over me when I realized, what had happened. So I don't know that I was, in the company of other people, or I just knew that for me, if I was going to have to live my life without a foot, then I needed to figure out a way for me to be successful sitting down. So I'm really fortunate. My foot has been reattached, and I've had many surgeries over 15 years, and I walk now and with hardly even a limp. People really don't even know. But the first 3 years of that traumatic experience, and all of the surgeries and everything, I was completely dedicated to bringing the Girly Go Garter to market.
And I know it was very successful for you, but how was it successful for other people? How successful was the item that you created?
So the Girly Go Garter is a hands-free purse that you wear on your leg. And I invented it as a mic pack holder for television and film because I needed a place to put my microphone transmitters. But it's become the #1 insulin carrying device. Yes. And so those people who are insulin dependent, especially girls who enjoy wearing dresses and oftentimes do not have pockets that can support a pump, it gives them wardrobe freedom, and it allows them to have a discreet place to carry their pump. But in addition to that, we are used by prom goers and people going to carnivals and festivals. And just this past weekend, I actually heard from a real estate agent who sent me a photo of her carrying a small weapon because she has to do open houses. And the way that she put it was, telling the world where I'm going to be on a day and having to be alone and never knowing who's going to walk through the door is daunting. So the fact that I'm able to very discreetly have a weapon on me, I'm very grateful for what you've done. So I have actually helped both the security and the health of women across the world.
How wonderful. And all because you didn't give up, and you was resilient, and you was trying to help yourself, but you kept on going to make sure you helped other people. And you've done great things in that way. So that must give you great happiness to be able to do that. How amazing. So that was your purpose. You could have been a judge or whoever, but you have challenged so many people's lives in a positive way, and probably in the thousands, and you've changed those lives. And this is why you was put on this earth, or one of the reasons why, and you've changed so many lives. Do you not see it like that?
No, I do. I definitely feel that, without a doubt. I do. I do feel as if I am a small pebble that creates many ripples. So I do feel that. Thank you.
No, that is beautiful. It's so nice. You've helped humanity, to be honest, keep people safe and help people to make sure they stay healthy at the same time. So going forward again, so you're resilient, you're stubborn, you're consistent. Stubbornness is not necessarily a bad thing as long as it's used in the right way. So I'm not saying it from a negative point of view. And you're consistent, and which is where this consistency comes into it, and you don't let anything stop you. So when did the point in time come where you thought, I'm going to build a business, as long as you've got other businesses, I hear you, but this business, when it comes to consistency, when was the flip in time when you thought, you know what, I'm going to help other people do this? What happened and why?
Oh, well, to be honest, I've spent my entire life with the intention of being in service. So there's never been anything that I haven't attempted where my approach was, selfish. It doesn't matter what I have done or what project I show up on. My goal with everything that I attempt is to make things better, to show up as my best self, to make things better in every way that I can, and to spread kindness. So it doesn't matter what the project, I have always been in service of others.
Wow. Always? Since
Always.
childhood?
Yeah.
Wow.
Always.
And
that's how I was taught. So
You taught. I
that's
see.
how I was taught. So that was extremely important. I'm fortunate that I went to a very small private school. It was a Catholic school. I was in church literally 5 days a week in the Catholic church, and then at my Southern Baptist church on Sundays and sometimes Wednesday nights. So I had a lot of churching growing up, and I have a huge faith in God and my path. And I have always just, I've kind of thought if God gave me the idea, he wouldn't have given me the idea if he hadn't already created the path. I wouldn't feel this way if there wasn't a way forward. So you can call it stubborn, but I do believe that for every, window that opens, it's open for a reason. And, there's a purpose to that. So I listen to the universe and to my little nudges and instructions, and my goal is to help wherever I can.
So I take it you always or try to start the day in a positive way. You always have you have a process to make sure your day goes in a particular way or not. How does your day start? Because you seem to be quite focused, and usually that comes in a form of doing something over and over again. So doing a process over and over again, so you stay focused or not.
That is actually not my doing something over and over and over again is my idea of absolute insanity. I can't. No, I do start my day with positivity, but I tend to like project work.
Okay.
Much better than something that is the same thing over and over.
Uh-huh.
So project work, there's a beginning, there's a team involved, there's an end, and then you produce, and then it's out into the universe. So I tend to not. I didn't choose a career path that would allow me to do the same thing repetitiously over and over again. So in that way, it does seem a little odd that consistency is, so important to me. But I think it's consistency of effort, consistency that I can control.
Totally. There's different types of consistency, but the point is that your consistency of turning up. Yeah, always turning up to just try to solve that problem on a daily basis. And that's the kind of consistency you deal with, which is what we like, listeners, don't we? Okay, so how do you now help people in a business? So you help consistency from a one-to-one point of view, from a business point of view, or do you help groups? How does your helping with other people? What's your structure of your business?
Well, I explained my product-based business, and so I have that. And then my service-based business, I am, a beauty and style expert. And to that end, I have done over 200 episodes of reality makeover television. I have a best-selling book in 14 countries and 3 languages. I am a QVC guest host, and so the products that I believe in and enjoy, I sell on QVC. And I'm also an actress on a large television show in the States called General Hospital, which is the longest running television show in TV history. So it's been on the air for 61 years, and I am the latest cast member of General Hospital. So my goal is to help people build their confidence through image support.
My God, you've got so much going on. Where do you get the time for all of this?
Oh, there's plenty of time. There's, people say that there's plenty of time. You just have to make time. No, I always have time.
That's a great mindset. Plus, you've got the family and all these different ventures going on. And, we can see you're the person to help us be consistent and focused with everything going on. It's just amazing, listeners. Well, how do people able to contact you if they need help and support?
Yes, andypaige.com, ANDYPAIGE.com will introduce you to a lot of the services. My product is called Girly Go Garter, and so girlygogarter.com is where you can find that. You can see me at QVC in America. I haven't made it to QVC in Europe yet. I'd love to. And then for those people that stream General Hospital, you can see me on General Hospital as well.
And listeners, there will be all the information down below. You can copy and paste, click away till you want to do so. And you can see she's the lady for you if you want to be consistent, because she's a go-getter and she makes it happen for sure. Andy, thank you for being with us. We really appreciate you giving your time.
My pleasure.
And with that said, everyone, sayonara.